Hey, everybody. Welcome to Advocacy and Hope. I am Amy Post, your host, and I appreciate all of your time. I have never meant it more in my entire life when I watch everything back and I get the responses and the support. I really appreciate your time and I just appreciate you. So, thank you so much for spending time with us each week and just really giving great feedback. I couldn't do this without you because your supportive messages have helped me move forward when I honestly didn't think that I could. So please keep them coming. If you don't feel that they matter, I can't tell you how much they matter, even if it's just a simple wave or anything you want to send me. And I feel the prayers immensely. I always have. It's been one of those huge things. So if you just want to send me an amen or just you're doing great, keep it up. So thank you. It's been bittersweet because the book launches in about 3 weeks and it's been really tough. So let's get to it. So today I have such a special friend on, and I cannot tell you what she has meant to me, the impact she has made on my life, the ability for me to get back up off the floor when I didn't think that I could even move, paralyzed in the corner, and not wanting to embrace this new journey I'm on. And I met her, I believe, gosh, even probably, I guess, on a Zoom
Wow.
last maybe September, October timeframe, and then
Yeah.
in person in November. I feel like I have known her forever, and I think that you guys will really resonate with her. Amber Vilhauer, welcome to the show. Thank you so
Aw,
much for joining me.
I love how you started your episode with appreciation, Amy, and just more signs that we are totally in alignment. And it really is, so wonderful that we get to create this community and hold this space for everybody. And I take that very seriously. I don't take it lightly. And watching your leadership, watching you move through all of the emotions and the mindset and the changes and the challenges, like it really has been an honor for me to just witness your journey, let alone have you be so excited about me too. So watch out, everyone. It's going to be a giant love fest on this episode.
It is. You may shed some tears. You're going to feel compelled. You're going to feel as though you belong in this family, this connection. There's just something so powerful about it. And so just to give you a little bit more information in regards to Amber, I mean,
Yeah.
she's probably the coolest mom I've ever known. She is a mom to one adorable little boy, Clay, and she was the creator of No Guts, No Glory, which is my ultimate favorite title for a company name because man, is it so true. And I think you're well, a new author. We're launching our books on the same day, May 7th. So you have Infinite Impact, which I think is the perfect name for this book. I mean, it is just phenomenal.
You.
I'm so glad to kind of dive in. We could talk for hours. We have a short amount of time, and I really wanted to just kind of share with the viewers who you are. I mean, you have a powerful, successful, incredible company. You know, Looking at you, you look all put together. And I think one of the things that I appreciated so very much was when I read the book and it was just beauty. It was messy, it was beautiful, it was raw, it was real, it was connection. I have never felt so empowered because I felt that I wasn't alone. And that helped me take that additional step forward. And so I just appreciate you so much on so many levels with what you have done. I cannot even tell you. So
Thank you,
I guess
Amy.
we can get into a
Yeah.
few questions. I have so many, but I think in reading the book, I think one of my biggest questions, and I know that you probably answered this. We were recently at the Books and Business just a few weeks ago, first week of April. So I think in talking about the book, and why you felt that you wanted to write the book, but also you were so busy. You had just launched a book with your son Clay. I mean, there were so many things going on. I am so glad that you did launch it, but it seems like it was a labor of love for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I've wanted to write a book for 20 years. In fact, when I was 21 years old, I did write a book. And it took me 4 months to do it. I got it professionally edited twice. I was ready to go to market. And then I had met this fancier editor who became one of my best friends. And at the time, I had her read it. And she said, Amber, you need to rewrite the book. And she, had an opinion that because I had written it in third person, she thought it would be a more powerful memoir if I had written it in first person. It was called Rescuing Me, A Teen's Journey from Lost to Found. It's still sitting on my hard drive. I never published it. And also, it's not just because of that feedback. I was launching my website and branding and marketing company. Like, what does that have to do with a kid who felt there was no place for her in the world? A kid who felt like an outcast. I didn't have very many friends. I was lonely. I was confused. I wasn't doing well in school. I was just sort of swirling around. And so then in my early 20s, I kind of had a breakthrough moment and had this moment of empowerment and wrote this memoir. And so it is a great book, but I just didn't know what to do with it. So I didn't really do anything. And fast forward, my business booms. And I had tried different iterations of different books over the years, and life happened. You know what I mean? It's like it just never seemed like it was the right time. And then this December, it's true, there was a lot going on with me professionally, personally, including the biggest personal trauma of my life has been sort of slowly and quickly at the same time unfolding over the last 3.5 years. And so I really, honestly, I just wanted to take the year of 2024 to rest and recharge and refocus and like not put too much pressure on myself. Ha ha. And then, I got this message, this divine message that said, it's time, write the book. And I thought, no, I don't want to write the book right now. And the message was like, no, you got to write the book right now. So I thought, okay, Christmas week, if it pours out of me, I'll take that as a sign that it's the right time. Christmas week came. It was one of the messier weeks I've had in years, where it just felt like I'd lost myself. I'd lost my purpose. I was grieving immensely. I was confronted by my own internal stuff. And I was just so uncomfortable, Amy. And I was like, God, this is miserable. I don't want to write this stupid thing. So I decided not to. I turned the corner into the new year and thought, back to the rest recharge plan, not doing it. And then I got a text message from a dear friend, and she worded this text message in such a perfect way that I knew it was a message from God. I just knew it. It was so clear to me. It was undeniable. There was no wiggling out of it. It was like go time, baby. And I had to write the book, except now I had even less time. So, basically, long story short, in order to get the books ready by this event, which was the timeline I was given, I had to write this entire book in 2 months. And bonus, the book that I set out to write wasn't this book. I was thinking I was going to write a book about publishing your book, because my career is I've made 1,000 authors, #1 bestsellers. I've built 1,000 websites. I've been a business strategist and critical thinker in so many businesses across the country. Like, I thought that my book would be about that. But what really came through was I realized that in all of my work over the years, last 20 years of running my company, the biggest through line was that entrepreneurs were out of alignment. And I thought, I'm fortunate enough to work with some of the most incredible people in the world, these people that want to change the world. And I saw that my job now moving forward is to get these people into alignment so that they can make the impact in the world that they want to make. So even though this has been a goal for 20 years, it's been a torturous process. It came at the messiest time. Here's the book launching in a few weeks, same day as yours, lucky me. And it's really good. It's a beautiful full color book. It has nature images. There's room to rest and breathe and think and create inside of this book. And it's really an honor to have birthed it. Really, it's an honor.
So I wanted to really start out with the book because I didn't want to start with what you do, because you're amazing enough, I really wanted to paint this
Yeah.
picture and write this story for people to show you've been successful for so many years, and you have worked with, these authors and successful business individuals, and nothing has to be done in some particular order that we think it does.
No.
Nothing has to be what you might think. And I think for anybody out there listening, if you have an idea, a thought, a passion, a why, a burning, a something, and anything, just do it. Just do it. And I love your story. I love the honesty, and of course, just being a real human being. I think that we lack that sometimes
Ah,
in not knowing what someone's going to think about us, or we're not going to be perfect, or it's not going to come across that way. That humility and just genuineness about you is what I fell in love with. And I think that it's just really important for people to hear that over and over again, so they know that they can do it. And I think that this book was so important for you to kind of talk about how it came about after 20 years of you being in this industry. And I don't know when you created No Guts, No Glory, or kind of what that actually is, but tell the audience a little bit about, kind of back up now and just speak a little bit more about what you do each day, because I think it is so cool that you have kind of messed things up and done things in this order that doesn't even matter what order you do it in. Just do it when you feel you need to, and how you can impact more lives. And I think for you, this book really is important because it needed to get out there to go viral and to affect so many people. And just,
thank you, Amy.
I truly just feel that the book is amazing. So yeah,
Thank
tell the
you.
audience just a little bit about No Guts, No Glory, and gosh, how that came about.
Well, as I mentioned, I mean, when I was younger, I didn't know my place in the world. And because I didn't know my place, was very sad a lot. And,
Mhm,
I started hanging out with people that I thought were good enough for me. And these were not conscious, good individuals. And it wasn't until in my early 20s, I got this random job selling Cutco cutlery, which is like the high-end kitchen knives. And I didn't know how to sell anything. I could barely open up my mouth. I was so insecure. And yet I did what they told me to do. And I believed in the product. I followed their training program. I went out and it worked. And so I didn't feel like I contributed anything special to it. I just followed the process. And when I followed the process and it worked, do you know what happened? They recognized me.
mhm,
And I'll never forget that feeling of like, hey, good job. And I was like, what? You see me? Like I did something good?
mhm,
And
mhm,
boy, I was like addicted to that feeling. So it was like, so if I go out and do more of the things, will I get more of that good feeling?
mhm. Yes.
Late bloomer here. And so that summer, I mean, I was a maniac, Amy. I just was like winning awards. I finished one of the top number 2 sales rep in my office. I was promoted into management. Then I was promoted into higher levels of management, winning national awards, winning reward trips. I mean, over the next 5 years, I was a maniac. And it's because I loved that feeling of being seen and heard and valued. And then I thought, gosh, everybody deserves to feel like this. How can I help everybody feel this way? And even back then, as a 20-year-old punk selling knives and being a manager to other sales reps, I started to help them feel seen and heard. And oh boy, when I helped other people feel that way and I saw them light up, it healed me. It gave something back to me. So then that was really the birthplace of this vision I had for my life of like, all I need to do is help people feel like that. Because when I help other people feel that way, I feel that way too. And now it's this like win-win. Awesome. Noted. Right. And I didn't have a name for it. I didn't have a framework for it, but that's really where the beginning of now what's in this book
Mhm,
really started. So 20 years ago. Then fast forward, I felt like I had gotten as much out of the Cutco experience as I was going to about 5 years in. As just this random divine side job, I started doing event planning for this conference in Denver that taught people how to market their business online. So now I'm 24, 25. I knew nothing about the online world, but out of that event, it sparked the next phase of my life. And I taught myself code. I built my own website, taught myself SEO, started blogging about what I was learning about. This woman in Canada reached out and said, "Hey, I love your website. I love what you're about. Would you be willing to build my website?" And I thought, I guess. I'd never really thought about being a business owner. I didn't have any formal business training, but I wanted to help her out. I liked what she was up to. Somebody also out of that event was the head of a publishing company in California. She reached out and said, "Hey, can I teach you how to launch books? And you can, launch books for my authors." And I said, "No, thank you," because I thought I'm over here pursuing the website thing. And she was very persistent. I mean, for 4 months, she hounded me about this until I said, "Fine, I'll work for you. Like, I'm like not that special. What do you need?" Well, she taught me how to launch books. And the first books that I launched were for these prolific giant authors like Les Brown and Lisa Nichols and Mark Victor Hansen. So now it feels like I'm leading these two lives. I'm like launching books on the side for Ruby. And then over here, I'm building NGNG, which stood for No Guts, No Glory. And it's my company that started back in 2007. And it wasn't until much later in the timeline that I merged these two kind of concepts together. Really, it was close to 2020 where I became formally known as the book girl and the business girl. And in 2020, my business exploded. I mean, we grew by 85% the first year. And then the next year, I hit the prestigious Inc. 5000 award. And when I grew to the top of the mountaintop, I looked around and I thought, I'm not happy. Here I am dealing with like complaints from my team all day long. I got away from my work in the world, which is to help people feel heard, seen, and valued. And I don't feel valued, that's for sure. I feel like I'm just fielding complaints all day long. So
Yeah.
what I did was I thoughtfully and consciously scaled down my company over the next 2 years. And I ended up letting go of building websites for a living. And I really embraced my true natural gift, which is strategic thinking and planning. I mean, there's very few people, and that's not my ego or anything like that talking. It's just true. There are very few people on this planet that understand writing a book, publishing a book, growing a brand, growing a community, monetizing, being profitable, and creating a huge impact the way that I do. So when I come into an author, it doesn't matter what stage of business they're in. In fact, Amy, it doesn't even matter if they have a book in them at all, because I work with people that have no intention of writing a book, but I know how to get to the heart of the matter, which is what are they up to? Like, what's the message in their heart? If you're like, I think maybe I might want to help people with something, great. That's your first step. What do we want to help them with based on your life experience? Great. That's the second step. Now, what kind of lifestyle do we want to have with it? What kind of money do we want to make off of it? Great. Once we figure that out, that's really all I need to know, because almost instantaneously, I can tell you the steps in priority, protecting your time and energy, whatever starting budget you have. Cool. Got that into consideration. And I can help you figure out the fastest path to meet your goals without sacrificing quality, because the people that I work with, like, they want to do it right. This is meaningful for them.
Yeah.
And it's meaningful for me too. So that's my work in the world. That's what this book is all about. And it's so fulfilling. It's so fulfilling.
Yeah, I love it. I think in the book you talk about, your why and losing your why and how that felt. And I think everybody out there, if they really think about it,
It's horrible.
they may be in that same position. And I think if there's, those out there listening, I was in that position too. Yeah, I just didn't understand what was going on. I was in medical sales for, 20 years, and I absolutely had this, dream job, and everything looked good from the outside, and I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. And I think that there are those times where we need to just admit that and then figure out what to do. And one of my favorite things about your book, other than those, and there's just so many of them,
Thank you.
but anybody needs to grab the book. I don't care what you're wanting to do in life, what you're really looking at. It's just A book that you can gain perspectives and little pearls and nuggets every page that you turn, and then you're flipping back and forth and you're writing and scribbling. And I'm a scribbler and a writer in my book. My husband dislikes that because he won't pick up any book that I've ever touched because it's all scribbled up. So I get to keep all the books to myself and no one touches them. So it's a wonderful thing. But your fortune cookie was one of my absolute
Mhm.
favorites. And I think I had reached out to you the other day. I mean, it hits me every time I look in the book. And I remember starting at a very young age, and anything that made me uncomfortable, I had this burning desire like, why does it make me so uncomfortable? I have to find out. And I think now more than ever, maybe we run from those types of things when we need to lean into them. So that
Yeah.
fortune cookie was super cool. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. Just saying it out loud makes me emotional.
Mhm.
Um, and it really does define my life, because I have to tell you, I'm afraid by a lot. You mentioned at the beginning, like we all seem so put together. And I've been talking about that for years, Amy, because I see the rise of the influencer. And it honestly makes me sick to my stomach. And the people that I talk to, almost notoriously every time, they're like, I don't want to be an influencer. I don't like that word. Yeah, because you're repulsed by this idea that we have to be a certain way. And I'm
Mhm.
here saying, you know what? We need to embrace who we really are and stop hiding and stop pretending and stop compartmentalizing.
Yeah.
And what was most challenging about writing this book, Amy, because there was a long list of reasons why this was so challenging and confronting. But I had to practice what I preach. And if I want to model what it means to be fully self-expressed, well, then I have to model it. Like if I'm going to put this book out, encouraging other people to lean into their fear, encouraging other people to be fully self-expressed, then that meant that I had to do it too. And again, coming at a time where there are some very messy, ugly, painful compartments of my life right now, things that are completely outside of my control, but they have impact on me. And when I open up that box, I cry every single time because I'm in pain, right? And you listening, I know you have that compartment because you're human. And if you don't have that compartment, then you're
Mhm.
probably not leaning into life enough, right?
Mhm.
But this is life, baby. And so that fortune cookie is like, lean into the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. And so when I was writing this book, Amy, I was like scared out of my mind to reveal some of the things that in my perception were less of what I was proud of. There are things that have happened in my life where parts of who I used to be that I'm not proud of. And normally we hide those things away and tuck them away and say, well, it's a part of the past. I'll just move forward and pretend as if. And I chose not to do that in this book. I chose to say that, yeah, there were some ways that I would treat people or things that I would do simply because I wasn't taught another way. Does that make it my fault?
Yeah.
I don't know, but at least I could lean into it. And then on the other side of it, I could improve and be a better person. And even putting this out, leaning into the fear of putting this book out and being scared to death of bad reviews, or how would it change my career, or what would my family think, or what if. And it's like, no, my desire to impact people is more important than any of that. And I don't want to be afraid anymore. And so I'm just going to put it out there. I'm going to do it thoughtfully. I'm going to do it consciously. I'm going to omit things that don't drive the through line forward, that might have been because I was trying to prove something or heal from something. And maybe that was irrelevant for the book. Like I really tried to stay on the straight and narrow of things. I wanted to feel very clean and clear on the other side of the book. But shoot, man, this is absolutely a testament of courage. And even,
Mhm.
a big concept in the book is to go your own way, which isn't that terrifying. Go your
Mhm.
own way. Aren't we supposed to go the way that everybody else said that we should go? But
Mhm.
I'm really taking a stand for go your own way. And one of the ways that I even did that is, if you look through the book, it's in full color.
Mhm.
And there are nature images in here. there's highlighting and underline. I mean, there literally is something for you on every single page of this book. And the publishers were like, I'm sorry, what? We don't do books like this. You're supposed to have no color, this boring text. And I'm like,
Mhm.
not me, man. I've got to be a model for what is possible for authors and how they can fully self-express here. And the last thing I would say, Amy, is when you lean into the things you fear, there's such freedom on the other side. Yes, the fortune cookie says the death of fear is certain. Well, what's on the other side of fear? Freedom.
Mhm.
So if what you crave in your life is freedom, then I would really look at what are you afraid of and how can you start knocking those things off, go walking through the doorway, because your freedom's right there. You're the only one that controls the amount of freedom that you experience in this lifetime.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. And I think just that those words that just jump out. I mean, just the courage that you have to have, but the courage to do it, but also the courage to be real. And I think that around every corner, we can fear, someone bullying us, someone, saying something that we don't agree with. There's always going to be something, someone. And I think that just reading the book, it's just knowing that, God, just set those realistic expectations for yourself. Give yourself grace. Know that you aren't alone. Know that you are good enough. I mean, just it pours out in every page, but then it's so easy to understand and put into kind of any aspect of life. I think we can really kind of dive in. So I love it for so many reasons. And I think also when I was looking through the book, it made me happy. And I remember smiling the first time I opened the book because of the pictures. Like it
Yes, it's a
transforms,
happy man.
it brings you in. Like I remember just feeling like I dove into your book, into those pictures, and I was inside those pictures. It just takes you somewhere where other books maybe don't take you to. Not to say, I mean, we've all read some amazing books,
Oh, sure.
but
Yeah.
I think I love your ability just to share with people to just go your own way, do your own thing, make it what you want. But I think for anybody out there, I mean, pick up a copy. It is absolutely life changing. And I think we could sit here and talk all day long, but there's just so many commonalities. I think one of the main things that I really look at in life, and when I met you, Amber, it was just you're so positive, but yet, I mean, you do have those things that have happened in your life, but you have allowed yourself to understand that, there is power and purpose in the pain, in all of the anguish and things that we have gone through. And I think anybody out there listening, if they feel that what they have gone through isn't important enough, I
Oh my
want them to just
gosh.
believe in themselves and know
Agreed.
that gives them the power to help somebody else. And
Mhm.
it could literally change their entire life for something that you could do or say. Because I think I talked through my entire book and then afterwards of writing my book. I mean, you never know what is happening with the person standing beside you or the person
Mhm.
anywhere. And just those random acts of kindness and just good things for people. But in this world that we're living in right now, it is just this desperate world of, like you said, trying to look a certain way and be a certain way and do something. And it's not that I didn't love the industry that I worked in for, 14 years. I was in the aesthetic world, but I remember it just leaving me, empty. The one thing that I loved was I loved helping those business owners kind of create something else and get to that other place.
Yeah, I mean, we are on this search for meaning, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I can remember being inside of my marriage even and
Mhm.
just thinking like, I'm not unhappy, but I don't know that I'm feeling fully open and like I'm living my best life or that I'm encouraged to really open up the vault and like fully express what my being is here to express in this life. And so NG, I mean, we had success and all of the things, but there was something that hit in 2020 where I recognized that, gosh, I could stay on this path, no problem. Like I'm committed in my family, I know what I want. And man, if I look back on my life, if I'm 90 years old in my rocking chair, would I feel regret or sadness that I played small? And then the more I thought about that, the more I recognized that maybe there's a change that needed to occur. But then the
Yeah.
next thought was maybe there's a way to have, be, and do it all. I am obsessed with that. How anything should be possible in my mind. And so what I ended up doing, even though if it's not the popular opinion, what I ended up doing was we did separate in 2021. And I had this vision for consciously co-parenting our son. And what if we could be committed to one another? And what if our family still could stay or stay together for the long haul, but that we just had a role change to where I had more freedom and ability to express my light in the world.
Mhm.
And it was not easy to do that. I mean, it took a long time of reinforcing my intention and
Yeah.
proving what my intention was before all of a sudden it felt like there was a time where it was safe for that vision to become reality. And now that is my reality. And I didn't jump into another relationship. Like I'm still very committed to my family. And I now have that total autonomy to go out and spread my light as freaking blast it out as far as I can, because only then am I the mom I would be proud to be for my child. Do I set the right example I want him to see? Because
Mhm.
there aren't a lot of models for that in the world. Let's just be
Mhm.
honest. So, I look down at Clay because he's smaller, not looking down on him, but I'm like, here's this little kid who believes in every possibility because that's how we start. We believe
Mhm.
in every possibility until people tell us that, no, you can't do that. You can't be that. And to heck if I'm going to be the person that shatters that reality for him.
Yeah.
So only by stepping through the fear and leaning into my courage and doing the unpopular thing and trusting in myself and trusting in the divine, that everything is going to be okay as long as I lead with integrity, as long as I don't stay
Mhm.
small and hide and compartmentalize. As long as I can be that model, I will be protected. And you know what? Every scary step and every burning tear, it has been proven to be true. And I'm just so grateful. And it doesn't mean that my fear has diminished in some ways. Like I keep moving through it and exercising that muscle. But
Mhm.
man, I look around, Amy, and I cannot believe how blessed I am. So
Mhm.
I think the human experience is maybe there will always be some suffering present, but
Mhm.
man, is it making us stronger too and allowing us to reach different heights in life and what example we're sharing with younger generations. I think it's all
Mhm.
possible.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think suffering brings perseverance. I think that it's so interesting, but I was just kind of making a bunch of notes. I think one of the things that I really loved about the book, and when you talk about some of your experiences, you were around just, whoever would be around you or how good you maybe felt that you were, and just letting other people tell you, what your worth and your value was. And I think I remember reading that part in your book several times. Like it was like 5:30 in the morning last Saturday morning. And I remember just reading it over and over. I think what
You-
people need to really understand is nobody has the ability to put your value on you. And as soon as we really start understanding that, it's good, but we need to also, like you said, we need to have that support group and that support system. And who is your tribe and who do you surround yourself
Yeah,
with? So when you were going through these times of just not feeling good, and it sounds like Cutco was just one of those pivotal turning points
it
for
was.
you. Did that allow you then to feel better about yourself? So then you were able to kind of reach out to these other support systems and mentors, and kind of walk us through that, because I think people need to understand we can't do it alone. We're not meant to do it alone. We can't. It's impossible.
Yeah, Cutco was an interesting experience because like there was such a tight, close support group. But as soon as I left Cutco, that didn't carry forward. It was like that's its own universe.
Mhm.
And so that's fine. But it was sort of like almost graduating and going out into the big open world by yourself. And it's like, gosh, now what do I do?
Mhm.
And so it took a while before I attracted in a couple of like a mentor here and a mentor there, but it didn't feel like jumping right back into another environment like that ever, really. Actually, until now, I'm creating it myself, but there was a whole gap there between the end of Cutco and maybe as of sometime last year, where for over 15 years, I tried to create a seat for myself at other people's tables. And oh my gosh, I fought so hard for that, Amy, because I'm a female business owner and website agency. Like, the chances of my survival are 1%, maybe. I mean, it's like my chances were nothing. And so I just had these set of non-negotiables of treating other people the way I would want to be treated, being consistent, being reliable, doing what I say I'm going to do, following up, following through, following up, following through. And I invested in so many relationships, most of which did not yield an ROI whatsoever. And I don't mean financially. um, and that's okay. I kept fighting and fighting for my seat at the table. And then there was a time where I got my seat at the table, Amy, and I looked around and thought, ugh, I don't want to be at this table. This table sucks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so then there was a period of like retreating and kind of sitting within myself again of like, I don't belong there. I don't belong there. I don't belong. Where do I belong? And then it dawned on me that I had to build my own table.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did. And that's what my current new evolution of my brand, it's called Books and Business. That's what that's all about. Now, NGNG is still my parent company name. That's where I do all of my strategic consulting and business, so people can hire me there to help them grow their business. But I want to keep that client base small because I don't want to overbook myself. I want plenty of time for creation and thinking and self-care. So I thought, well, how else am I going to grow my impact? That's when I innovated the brand Books and Business. And honestly, that was as of August of last year. It's still pretty new, but we've done 2 in-person events that are literally the most magical. I don't even know. Nobody knows how to talk about it. We just say it's magical. There's love, there's connection, there's breakthroughs. Like, what is that? I don't know what it is. We're still trying to define it, but it's truly, there's nothing else on the planet like it. We're doing another one in September in Denver. But what I see now, Amy, are the parallels between the community I felt back then in Cutco and what I am now creating. That people don't have to feel like they have to fight and claw to get a seat at my table. Screw that. Let's build a table together and let's make it something enormously special and equal, where we don't feel like we have to put on some mask just to belong. In fact, Amy knows this. Day 1, minute 1 of my event, everybody takes their mask and they throw it to the side, and you are invited to come out on stage as you. And it is terrifying for some people because they've never done it before, but it is the most freeing, natural thing in the world once you do it. And it's like, oh my gosh, I have been living my whole life without this feeling, without this freedom of expression. What the heck? I'm not doing that anymore. No way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how it unfolded.
I don't think that and to let everybody know, I've gone to Amber's last 2 events, and the first one I was utterly terrified. I thought I was going to throw up on the airplane just trying to get there.
It's a true story, everyone. True story.
I could barely put one foot in front of the other, and that is not me. So I get it. We get it. Like, these new journeys are tough. They're hard. I understand it so much. But when you see networks and individuals and groups like your group, I mean, we even started calling each other family, I think, on the first day. Emails now are, hi family. And it's this feeling that you can't put a value on. There's no amount of money that you could buy. It's just absolutely an incredible feeling. It's what I needed. I think it's what so many of us out there need. You walk into other groups, I think have even talked about these types of things, and sometimes they don't feel the same. This is totally different. It is out of some crazy world that maybe people didn't think existed, but it does. And I think, know your value, know that you're worth it. And these type of people are amazing. But also, Amber, there's accountability in the room too.
Oh
Now,
yeah, no hiding.
there's being extremely humble and kind and helpful, but
Yeah.
then there's, like individuals in the room, and I won't name any names, but they just, they stand up, they have the courage of just giants, and they hold you accountable. But it's something that we all need. We don't just want to be around people that just, stroke our ego and make
No.
us feel great and things like that. It's a lot of different things that come together in this incredible books and business. And for anybody out there, Amber, you'll be able to here in a second just be able to tell everybody the best place to find you. But I really, really impress on anybody if this podcast has touched you in any way, shape, or form. One, you have to get Infinite Impact. Go on Amazon, grab it, write a review. You'll literally not be able to put the thing down. And
Mm,
then just look into the books and business, because I will guarantee you it will transform your life. It just will. It's just what it does.
yeah. Well, Amy, I would love to connect with you after this and talk about what it would be like to do an alignment workshop with anybody from this podcast or otherwise that's interested, just for your community, where
Great.
anybody who has like this stirring inside, it's like it feels like there's something here for me, or I don't know what it is, but I'm afraid, or maybe I want to fully embrace it. I think we can do a great job of like continuing to hold the container in the space for this community, because I mean, you guys should hear the way that I've spoken about Amy from day one. I am her number one fan, and I will fight you tooth and nail. I am her number one fan. Totally believe in this book and her message, and think that Amy can really go such a long way in teaching us about advocacy specifically, because I know that there are times where I felt like I didn't have a voice to be that strong for somebody else, and I wish that I would have. And just seeing her strength in that has really impacted me personally. So I just think that we're all here to support each other, and if we can continue that space, then great. Not one of us is better than the other. We're all here on an even playing field to support each other's growth and to support, what our impact and our legacy could look like. So I want to thank you, Amy, for the opportunity to share so much of my message here on this podcast. And I want to reinforce yours at the exact same time. And if you are feeling like you wish that Amy and I could do something together to further the conversation, then let her know, please. And if there is an opening where you look at my work, you can find me. My last name is really hard to say, spell, and remember. But if you go to amberv.com, it should take you to my primary website, or books and business, all spelled out.com is that brand's website. And then NGNG Enterprises is the other one as well. I mean, I'm all over Google. You like literally can't miss me. I spend a lot of time on Instagram as well, if you would just like to follow me and kind of connect that way. But this next books and business event is going to be extremely powerful. So if there's any nudge anywhere, trust that, follow that. The only way to move through like the death of fear is certain, right? So remember the fortune cookie, and happy to talk with anybody anytime. I appreciate everybody's attention and hearts open during this conversation. It was a big one. It was a big
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, it was. And I think everybody needed to hear it today. So I appreciate you, Amber. I have been waiting for this, and it's come at the perfect time for us to be able to make just this perfect
Yeah.
podcast for people to hear. And I really, really impress upon people to follow you. Definitely check into the books and business. I'll be there in September. We've had a lot of people reach out to me and say, what is this? I need
Yeah.
to know a little more. Do you think this is for me? Yes, it is for you. So reach out. We'll have Amber's websites, how you can find her. Everything will be
Okay.
posted. Amber will be possibly on the newsletter that'll go out next Tuesday with all of her additional information. So a lot of great things, but stay tuned. But thank you so much, Amber. I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. And I think you have transformed my life and made me realize that I can do this. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate you. And for the audience out there, thank you for listening today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. And just, you're not alone. I just want you to know that you're not alone. You have so much support, and I want it to pour out on you. So until next time, thanks, guys.